we're going to go through how to rivet these two pieces of metal together. To start off with, I'm using finished pieces of metal. So that means I've sanded and polished the pieces of metal that I'm going to put together. Even though this is a practice, I want you to at least cut out one piece of metal with your saw. I'm going to line these up. I'm going to think about where do I want my rivets to go. Okay, after I've decided that, I'm going to mark the holes using this punch and using this hammer. So I'm going to have a hole here, 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 and here. And I just give them a little tap so that I have indentations in the metal. I mark all the holes on just the top piece of metal. Now I'm going to go back to the drill press and drill these out. To drill this out, I'm going to use the drill press here in the back. On the side, I'm going to pull these handles. This makes the drill go up and down. The lever on the front turns it on. It needs to have this key in there to work. I line up the hole with the drill and I hold the metal steady. I also want to make sure I have my glasses on so that I'm safe. I'm safe and ready to go. I'm going to drill out all 4 holes. Turn it on, lower it, and I take little bites. Go down a little, all the way through. I'll do that for each of the holes. I have this piece back now. On the back side, there's little burrs that I need to file off. And so I'm going to take one of my flat files and file off the burrs on the back side. With the burrs filed off the back, now I'm going to transfer one hole to my back plate. Again, I'll use a hammer and punch to set this up. I want to make sure my alignment is real good. Put the punch in the hole and tap it. Now I'm going to go back and drill this hole out. After I've drilled out this hole, I need to file off the burr on the back side. Overlap the metal and put wire through that hole. I have a large spool of copper wire that I'm going to use for this. I'll take the whole spool and cut off just a little bit. This will be more than enough for all of my rivets. Now when I cut it, you'll notice that there is a pointy tip on the end here. When riveting, this pointy tip presents a lot of problems. We need it to be flat. If I use the flat side of the pliers to cut with, this side, then it'll be flat. If I use the curvy end, it'll be pointy. So I'm going to cut the flat side pliers down. That gives me a flatter point, and then I'm going to file that point flatter still. I can place the wire through the hole that we made and then through here so they're all put together. Sometimes there's a little burr inside the hole, and so I'll take a small round file and file out that hole. You want the fit to be very exact. Now when I'm measuring this to get the size of the rivet, I want the rivet to look like a square. If we look at it from the side, I want it to look like a square poking up over the surface. So just like that. Okay. So it's very short. Now I'm going to cut off all of this excess at the bottom and file it smooth, or file it flat. Again, I'm using these pliers to cut it. I have that rivet in there, but now I need to hammer it flat so it actually holds the two pieces of metal together. I'll need a claw hammer and an anvil. When I'm hammering this, I don't want to lay the metal flat on the anvil. I want it to be up off the anvil just a little bit while I hammer it. Somewhat like that. So that there's a little space on the bottom and a little space above it. Now I'm going to hammer this, and I'll hit it 3 times and then flip it and hammer it until it gets all the way flat. 1, 2, 3, flip. And there we have that one rivet done. Now the other rivets are just the same as that one, and again, I only want to move one rivet at a time. I'm going to drill out the holes, put rivets in there, and you'll see the final product next. Alright, now as you can see, we have 4 tight rivets in there. If I tip this on its side, you'll see that there's no gaps. Very tight seam all the way across. Okay, that means I've done a really good job with my rivets. You can see that there's not too much on either side of the rivet, and that is a perfect project to turn in.